Hello there, running ears. It's Manny again. And before we get started, I just wanted to send a sincere apology because I usually have one video a week, and I was planning on doing so because we had so much drop last week, which is why I'm wearing this shirt and this cap. But first of all, I was stuck in it, and I make it sound a lot worse than it was. I was stuck in Florida trying to get home. I got home, then I had a family emergency, but now I'm back, and so I'm gonna go over what dropped last week. So a couple of things dropped last week, and one of them was gonna be the course map and the earlier start time, which we're gonna go over shortly at the marathon weekend. And we had the digital event guide for the Wine and Dine also drop. Now, I think that the digital event guide for Wine and Dine should have its own video, so look for that one later this week. I will dissect everything that's on there. So in case you guys have any questions, more than likely I'll be able to answer them in that video. And so that'll be its own video, but we are going to talk about what happened with Marathon Weekend, what's happening with Marathon Weekend. But before we do, guys, please subscribe to the channel. The channel keeps growing. Remember, this is your channel. I get this information out there just for you guys to understand what is going on, trying to help out as much as I can with all the experience that I have. And again, this is your channel. Keep asking the questions. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and keep asking questions. To me, that's the most important thing. And let's get on with this. So first off, we got an email last week, and let's go over that email. So here's the email we got. It basically talks about the fact that, and I'll read the parts that are important. It says, we are adjusting the previously announced 5 a.m. start time to 30 minutes earlier at 4:30 a.m. The adjustment allowed us to make a few changes to the race course from previous years. Now that we hope you'll love, based on guest experience feedback. We know that racing through the parks is a highlight for your runners, and we hope the new course includes more distances within the parks. So it actually basically says at Epcot, you will start early morning. We will run through World Showcase, and at Magic Kingdom, we will run through Grand Floridian and Polynesian, but here is the course map, which we'll go over shortly. So there was two things that really stood out to me in that email. Number one is obviously the earlier start time. We will now be starting at 4:30 a.m., which means the buses are going to be running probably at 2 o'clock in the morning. So since 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe even a little bit earlier than that, but that means that we are going to have an earlier start time for the marathon, just the marathon. And the second thing, it basically states that we were going to have more park time, but it is, and I'll go over it in a little bit because we're going to go over the course map. So we're going to go over what exactly that entails. So with that said, let's go over the course map. So here is a course map. Of course, it doesn't have water stops, first aid stations, doesn't have any of that right now. But we're going to close in and we're going to take a look at it and dissect it little by little. So we're going to start at the start, obviously, so that we start and we go into World Showcase. So, and actually it looks like, yeah, but down here, we can actually see where we enter World Showcase, which is mile marker almost 2. We run basically a mile in there, or a little bit less than a mile. Then we exit, and then we start running towards Magic Kingdom. So this is where the course over here continues on. So it's almost like we're going backwards from when we come in, and you'll see this a little bit better and you'll recognize this a little bit more if you've run it the last few years. We are going to run the opposite way through Polynesian, Grand Floridian, and then we're going to go into Magic Kingdom. This also has this little side map where we get to see how we enter through Main Street USA, but instead of turning right, we're turning left. We're going to Adventureland, Frontierland, Liberty Square, all the way up to Fantasyland, which includes New Fantasyland, and then we're coming down to Tomorrowland. So yeah, we're going to come down here, and then we're going to exit. We're going to go out, and of course it's not grass. They actually have some stuff over there so we can run out. So now we exit Magic Kingdom. So now we are going to come down. So in this scenario, we get to see the runners on the opposite side, especially if you're up there. If you're towards the back, then you're going to see the lead pack runners. And as you notice, we run like we usually do, run towards Animal Kingdom. We enter at about mile marker 16 and a half, roughly, 16 and a quarter, 16 and a half. We run, 17 is right there by the Tree of Life in the back. Then we come back out. We've done this course before. We come back out. We cut across. We are going to cut across to This is going to be Blizzard Beach, the parking lot in there. So we run a couple of miles in there, a mile and plus, and we go over to Hollywood Studios. Again, we barely touch in Hollywood Studios. We run in there. There's people cheering us on. We go down the boardwalk, come across. We go back into Epcot. We run across Epcot, and we're going to be able to see it down here a little bit more. So we run across Epcot in the front. So we run in front of the giant ball. We run across. We exit over there by, it looks like where Test Track is roughly. So we are going to exit there. We're going to go back up here, and we're going to finish where we usually finish, which is in the parking lot at Epcot. So that's basically the course map. I'm going to go over a few things, a few thoughts that came out. Number one is 4:30 start time. So I think this is going to be a reaction to the fact that they want us to go into the parks. And if you notice, the park times or the extra park time is going to be earlier in the race. It's not as if it continues on. We basically touch. For sure, Hollywood Studios, we just go in and out. And if you guys have done that course before, you understand that. And in Animal Kingdom, we used to run a lot more in Animal Kingdom. We're not running a lot as much as we used to run in Animal Kingdom. So we touch them, it's earlier. And so they're trying to get us out of the way earlier. Now, with the earlier start time, a lot of people are not too happy about this. I myself am indifferent because I get there early anyway, or I can get there early anyway. It's not the biggest deal to me in the world. But there is one point that there's one ray of sunshine for starting earlier, and that is the fact that now they have shown that we can start the races earlier. More than likely, and it's now going to be all cast members or paid employees. They are there earlier on anyway. They get there anywhere between midnight to about 2-3 o'clock. And so they should be there already. So Manny, how does this help us? Well, it helps us in the way that I'm just going to give you a scenario. January of this year, the half marathon, we knew that the weather was going to be bad. So they cut the course twice, once before the run and then once during the run. So how does this help us? Very, very simple. They have now proven that they can open up the course, or they can move the start time a little bit earlier. So 4:30, maybe even a little bit earlier than that. So for future references, so let's say this January, we're going to get hit again. So that instead of cutting the course or cutting the course that much, what they can do now is start a little bit earlier, half an hour earlier. I thought that would be something that now, if they decide to cut the course again, why not just start it a little bit earlier? You've proven that you can do it now. And the second thing is, again, the course, it states that we are going to be running in the parks, and like you could see, it's going to be more on the first half of the park of the course. Once we get done with Magic Kingdom, there's really not a lot of park time, so it's not the biggest benefit. But again, I look at it this way also. The people that are putting together the races, which they have a hard job to do. A lot of people like to criticize. It's not the easiest thing. I always tell people, if you want to volunteer and try to get there when they're putting the runs together, when they're actually making the course, it's not as easy as people think. Then we have something at Disney that they don't have anywhere else. We have the parks. So they have to open the parks at certain time. So it becomes a conflict if we start, going later in the day and we're running in the parks, because they got to open up the parks. And although I have to admit that most of the people that we interact with when we're running in the parks at the very end of the marathon weekend, when we're there and the last day and the people are already coming in, most of them are cheering us on. I do see some negative stuff on social media. People get angry about that, but it's a minority. It's not the majority from what I can tell. I may be wrong on that, but what I can tell, it's the majority. I still would love, and I am the kind that says, you know what, I'm going to try it. But I still would love to run the last part of it in World Showcase. To me, that's one of the things that I love, just watching just going around. And I know that every time I get to a different country, I'm getting closer to the finish line. It's just awesome feeling. I've gotten so used to it over the years. And so it's something I'm going to miss. I will run this one. Obviously, I'm going to run it. But I want to see afterward, am I going to be able to sense the difference? So what are your guys' thoughts? Do you think you're going to like the new course? Now, again, if you never run it, you know, you don't know. But do you think you're going to like it? If not, what changes would you make? Would you go back to the regular thing? Would you start somewhere else? Those are going to be intriguing things. But besides that, we are going to have another video coming out this week. We are going to go over the digital event guide for Wine and Dine, which is going to bring me to something else real quick. Is, have you noticed that things have been dropping a little bit faster now? So, a little bit sooner, I should say. So, this to me is one great thing that seems to be coming out, and I hope it continues going throughout the Run Disney season. And the reason is, and even going to registration, because this is going to help out a lot, because if it continues, if this trend continues, because I see a lot of people, for example, I see a lot of people saying, should I sign up for Princess or Springtime? Well, I don't know what the theming is for Springtime, so now I got to sign up for Princess to make sure I don't miss out. Well, again, Springtime is the last one that sells out, so you're going to be safe in that scenario anyways. But the people that have to financially have to sit there and say, choose one or the other, now if they do give the theming a Springtime surprise earlier, which they're now showing that they can do it earlier, now that person has a choice. And so I think it's a good thing overall. I think it gives people more time to prepare mentally more than anything, but at least you have an idea mentally. You can stress a little bit less, especially if it's one of your first runs or your first time doing it. I think it's a great thing. I hope it continues on, that they let us know instead of 2 weeks in advance, a month and a half in advance. So that way, again, people have more time to prepare. I myself, I take myself out of that because I already know I've done them so much. They do change things from time to time, and it'll give me enough time to adapt. But those of you who need the time to adapt, I think this is a great thing for you. So that's it for this video. Guys, your thoughts, whatever you want to talk about, please put it down there in the comments. Look me up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, send me messages. On Instagram, I'm a little bit slower, but I will answer your messages, your comments, whatever it is, your questions, whatever it is. But until next time, create a magical day, create a magical run, and guys, see you sooner than later.